All right, hold on a second. I gotta go get socks because people keep fucking commenting that I don't have respect for our audience and I have fuck you money, so I don't wear socks. Hold on.
I mean, they're not wrong,
All
but you
true.
can, yeah, yeah, exactly, dude.
Wanna make that paper, wanna make that dough. This is the affiliate marketing show. Wanna make that paper, wanna make that dough. This is
What's up, everybody? This is Josh coming to you with another episode of the Affiliate Marketing Show. Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest affiliate marketing news, tips, and trends. Per usual, I am Josh from OfferVault.com, the industry's #1 aggregator of all things affiliate marketing. And I want to give a big special shout out to our sponsor, Crack Revenue. Per usual, again, we have a wonderful chat GPT read, this time in the voice of a cowboy. Well, howdy there, partners. Saddle up and listen close, because I'm about to rustle up some excitement about Crack Revenue, the top dog of the adult CPA network frontier. Now, Crack Revenue ain't no greenhorn in this here industry. They've been rounding up opportunities for over 14 years, and let me tell you, they know how to rope them in. They know how to rope in those offers. From cams to dating, health to OnlyFans, Crack Revenue's got it all under one big old sky. And if y'all are looking for the cream of the crop, look no further than their top offer, Jerkmate. It's like hitting the jackpot at the end of a long cattle drive. But hold on to your hats, folks, because here's the real kicker. Crack Revenue ain't just talking the talk. They're walking the walk with some of the best offers in the whole darn adult industry. It's enough to make a cowboy want to do a little jig. And if that ain't enough to get your spurs jingling, how about this? Sign up using the exclusive link down below, and you'll wrangle yourself a mighty fine 15% bonus on your first commissions. Now, ain't that a deal sweeter than sipping on moonshine under a starry night? So, what are y'all waiting for? Kick off them boots, hitch up your wagon, and mosey on over to Crack Revenue today. It's time to ride off into the sunset and lasso up some serious earnings. Yeehaw!
I would just like to reemphasize that Jerkmate is their top offer. Been really keeping busy with this bobblehead.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I have caught Harrison numerous times sitting in the kitchen on a laptop on candy.ai. I think he has 15 virtual girlfriends now. His actual girlfriend seems to be very accepting of the situation. I'm not sure what's going on there, but
You guys know the deal. We got Mr. Paper Call Adam Young. We got the industry legend Harrison Gevirtz. And today, a super special guest, Mr. David Stodolak, host of the LFG Show. We love the LFG Show. If you're not hip to it, it's a brand new podcast in this industry. It's a must watch. Go ahead and subscribe to their channel as well. He's also the CRO of Connection Holdings and president of Solar Direct Marketing. What's up, David, all the way from Colombia? How are we doing today?
I'm fucking great, man. We're about to make that paper. We're gonna make that dough. We're on the fucking affiliate marketing show. Let's go. I'm pumped up.
You know, I'll rebuttal that with no money, no honey. What's going on today, my guy?
I'm good, man. You know, it's funny. You guys are talking about all this, the jerky or all this stuff, right? And that's a funny segue because that's one of the reasons I'm here. Well, this sounds kind of terrible, but so I'm in Colombia right now. We have a call center here, right? So what happened was I did some investments last year without really doing a lot of research, you know, which I think a lot of people in our industry do. Like, we just don't think about shit, we just do it, which was a big learning experience for me. So the guys down here, they got involved in some similar type of business that I thought made sense. It actually didn't really do well, but what happened was I got the bright idea. I'm like, guys, this business isn't working. I need a call center. Let's start a call center down there. So lo and behold, you know, a year later, we got a call center rocking and rolling here. And we're doing some pretty big things. So that's why I'm in Colombia right now, because we're doing some new campaigns out of here. We hired some new people, and I want to kick things off accordingly. So that's why I'm here right now.
Yeah, before we jump into the call center stuff, I want to ask you a few questions about the LFG show. Obviously, you were watching the affiliate marketing show, and you were like, "I can do it better than these guys. I need to start my own podcast. These guys suck." So I want to ask,
We're the inspiration of many.
Yeah, is that true? And B, tell us a little about, on the serious note, about the LFG show. What are kind of your goals for it? You know, you got a lot of heavy hitters on the show, on the podcast, a lot of great insight, a lot of good content. Again, if you haven't seen it, please go subscribe to the LFG Show on YouTube as well as audio platforms. So, Dave, what are the goals about the LFG Show? Where are you hoping to get, 6 months from now, a year from now?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think there's a lot as affiliate marketers, as business people, you always got to be ahead of trends. And right now, the massive trend is digital real estate. Right? I believe YouTube is digital real estate. Instagram, people are competing for eyeballs. And I spoke in Dubai a couple of weeks ago. I travel like crazy. I was on 115 flights last year. It doesn't matter. I see people every ethnicity, every size, every age. They're all on Instagram. They're on YouTube. They're consuming content, right? So at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people that I know, including you guys and people that are some big influencers that are killing it right now with their podcasts. I mean, a friend of mine, Sean Kelly, he's getting over 100 million views a month. He started his podcast a year ago, right? So I would go places that people would film me, like my buddy John Castle, they put me on that show a few times. Like, Dave, you deserve your own show. I mean, you're really funny. You got all this good content. People like you. So we decided to do it. So seeing you guys do it successfully, I mean, you've done, what, 60 episodes? I think 90% of people don't get through episode 8 or episode 4. Harrison knows that number. So the bottom line is that this is how people consume content. YouTube is a new TV for the younger generation, right? So at the end of the day, if I can create value, add value by having these heavy hitters, all these heavy hitters did not get out the gate strong. They all lost money, including you guys here at Ringba. I know this wasn't, it looks great now where you're at, but like it took time to get to that level, right? Including me. I had a lot of ups and downs. There's times where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why did I decide to leave this cushy job, getting paid, multiple 6 figures a year to go into my own business? So the point is that you gotta be aware of trends, where trends are going. I got into solar in 2016. I saw where the trends are going there. We had a very good run, still doing a lot in solar, top 5 since then. And I think that what you guys are doing at OfferVault and Ringba with the content, with the podcast, what I'm doing, we just got to keep creating value. And by creating value, doors will open up. So my goal is to create value, help change lives, help motivate people. And I think that through doing that, it's just going to be, you're going to make connections. You're going to create partnerships that you're not even thinking about today. And, 1 + 1 = 10. And the same way I grew my existing businesses is how we're going to grow the podcast. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to providing value. And I think by providing value, good things are going to come along the way. And I have fun. I enjoy doing this. This is fun for me.
Yeah, we feel the same way. I mean, we kind of just, our living room is right over there. We kind of just hang out in the studio and talk about Jerkmate all the time.
I was going to say, I remember the first couple podcasts where, we almost took it too seriously.
Yeah.
We'd have show notes and I would literally spend an hour, what do I ask these people? And we ask questions just naturally now. The show prep is just we're going to talk to cool people, learn about what they're doing, ask them questions about what they're doing and go from there. But when
I also
got
think
started, it was we didn't realize that this is just fun. Make it fun and real, and it's going to be a better podcast than a scripted show.
And user feedback is really important too. We take user feedback really seriously. We communicate with our
stock
users.
Sponsorship for Adam is available.
Yes. Apparently I have FU money and no respect for our audience. And so I'm supposed to wear shoes inside of the Ringba Mastermind house where shoes are not allowed. So I can't wear shoes, but to those of you who are complaining about my feet, I put some socks on for you today. This sponsorship is available. It is. I know
Jerkmate wants it.
No more adult sponsorships.
I'm going to give you some LFG socks.
There you go.
Okay.
Sponsorship sold. Easy as that. Dave, I want to talk to you about the call center in Colombia. I know a lot of it is around Spanish solar campaigns, which, you mentioned to me basically equals conversions. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into solar campaigns and why there's such a good investment of time with a good ROI in terms of, when you're trying to make it in that segment of the industry.
Yeah, so going back to kind of the origin of solar direct marketing, right? I was consulting for a call center in the utility space. They had contracts with multi-billion-dollar companies like Duke Energy, SoCal Gas and Electric, CPS Energy, Cleveland Water Department. You're familiar with those guys. So yeah. So anyway, with that being said, I always wanted to be on my own. I was making good money, but I had this desire to just not report to anybody, but just do something I was passionate about. And I was very good at sales. I knew a lot of good salespeople, and I kept hearing solar's coming up. The utilities were kind of scared of solar. And I got on the phone myself. I started setting appointments. People would pay $250, $300 an appointment back in 2016. I would get leads from clean energy experts, shared solar leads, pay like, I don't know, $20 back then. 1 out of 5 will turn into an appointment. I'd sell those for $250, and I was making a spread. And the beautiful thing is that I priced things perfectly because it was hitting the nail on target. Like people in solar wanted 1,800 to 2,200 CPAs. It was right there. And then I realized, man, I'm onto something. I'm making some side money doing this. I need to start hiring people. So I had people working from home, setting appointments. Before you knew it, I was doing 5 figures. The invoices went from like 2,000 a week to 5,000 a week to 10,000 a week. I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm onto something here. And I started making more money than I was making in my pretty high, paid consulting gig. And by the way, that company, we grew from 4 agents to 250 agents in the call center. We won massive campaigns like with Duke Energy that, looking back, we probably had no business of winning. And we won those contracts a lot because of the energy. They came into our call center. They saw the energy. They saw the people were happy. So we beat out companies that were 10 times bigger than us. I'm a big believer in energy, man. I think energy is the ultimate currency. So anyway, with that being said, I used that template for solar. And then I got into lead brokering with some heavy hitters. A lot of guys from call center days knew me. They trusted me. And they were like, listen, I need leads. I need solar leads. And same story. We went from a $2,000 test campaign to $10,000 before you knew it. We had a company spending $1 million a month with us, right? And I'm like, I gotta fucking go. I gotta do this full time. So I quit what I was doing, went to New Jersey, moved back to Jersey, and started crushing solar. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of ups and downs with that. But we started to turn the corner like in 2019 and made Inc. 5,000, 187, 250, made it 3 years in a row, 555. And at the end of the day, what I saw was an opportunity, like I was talking about earlier. I saw a trend. I saw the clean energy revolution. The government was backing it. We had tax credits for that as well. I had the leads. I had the sales team. So we became known as kind of like a consultative lead generation company. We weren't just sending, a company age leads or real-time leads. We'd actually speak with them, like a doctor would speak to you if you're sick, or they're supposed to speak with you. We're like, okay, do you have a call center? How many agents do you have? What are you buying now? Are you buying live transfers? What are you having most success with? So we'd ask a lot of questions, understand what's working for them, and then we'd sell them that. And then once they started having success with that, we'd get them to buy age leads, real-time leads, transfers, this, that. So we had a number of clients that were buying 7 different types of solar leads from us, spending 500, 700,000 a month with us. So really it came down to me seeing an opportunity, jumping on it, testing campaigns. I was the first, test dummy for it. I made it work. I added people to the team, and then we just grew. We took off.
Dave, I have a question for you. Back in the day when you were first starting this as we'll call it a side hustle, right? And you still had your consulting gig. How many hours a day and how many hours on the weekend were you working at your consulting gig and then on your side hustle?
That's a great question. So I put hours into that consulting gig. That was probably, I have to say, conservatively 50 hours a week. I was working like 50 hours, maybe 55 hours a week. So it's funny. It's almost like I had 2 shifts. I'd go there, get in the office 8:39, somewhere around that time. I'd leave whenever the job got done, right? That might be 6, it might be 7, whenever I felt comfortable leaving. And then I'd go home, I'd put my kid to bed, read him a story. I'd call the West Coast. I would call the West Coast at 9 o'clock Eastern, like 2-3 hours. So I'd probably put in 50, 55 hours a week at the consulting gig, and then the side hustle, I was probably doing 10 to 15 hours. And then when I had a team running the consulting gig, then it got a little bit better. Then I was maybe doing 30 hours a week over there, and I was putting the rest of the time on solar direct marketing. I was using my time more wisely. Really, I got more yield with solar direct marketing. I would make a sale and make in 5 figures right off, right, like a 30 minutes worth of work. So that made a lot more sense for me. But I busted my ass. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of hustle.
Yeah, I think that's my point. And I already knew the answer before I asked it, but I wanted the audience to hear it. I wanted the audience to understand that when you start something, you can't give up on what you're currently doing. And you'll notice that Dave put in 50, 55 hours at his consulting gig. So at his job,
He was fucking hustling.
he was hustling. He was doing more than the 40-hour bare minimum at his job. So doing the best he possibly could there to make sure that no matter what, he had that secured. And then on top of it, the additional time at the side hustle. So like a minimum of, let's just call it 70 or 80 hours a week. And so the reality is, Dave, successful businessman turned successful entrepreneur, putting in 80 hours a week to make that happen. And Dave's not alone here, right? Like, just like you said, Dave, people are like, oh, look at Ringba, look at what you're doing, look at all this stuff. It's so big. They didn't see Harrison and I basically not sleeping for years and doing whatever was necessary for us to make sure our clients were successful, which takes an immense amount of time. You know, you have a customer in another time zone.
10 years ago, I had a cot
Yes.
next to my
Oh my God.
I was living in a 1-bedroom like apartment in San Francisco, and I had this little desk. It was like a kitchen / living room. It was terrible. 800 square feet, the whole thing. And Adam came to visit one time, and there's like my desk. There's like 2 screens.
This is in his kitchen.
And yeah, there's like kitchen, desk, and I'm sitting there on it, and then next to the like desk to the right of it, there was like a mattress topper pad that I had on my bed, but like it didn't like it, so I just like threw it on the floor. And Adam's like, "The fuck is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's my hustle bed." And Adam's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just work so hard, I just crash." And he was like, dude, like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, it was ridiculous, dude. I walked into his place and I was like, is that a bed?
It was like
next
5
to
or
his
7%
desk?
of the entire square footage of the apartment, like this little bed on the floor.
And so here's Harrison at the time. He's living with his girlfriend. And instead of going to bed with her, he would just grind until he passed out on the hustle bed next to his desk to reduce the time it took for him to commute. And I think that's a perfect example of what entrepreneurs really go through. You know, it's like 24/7. And what people see today now, like, oh, everything's so great, you're doing this. Sure, yeah, but like first thing I do is I'm up in the morning grinding, and then I grind until dinner, and then I grind after dinner, and like it doesn't matter what time of day it is. If someone reaches out and it's important, I reply literally immediately. It's like it's a never-ending cycle. And we make it look easy, but the reality is even you have to grind to make it successful, and then you start hiring people and you have to grind.
You just grind differently.
Yeah, you grind to meet your commitments for the people you hire, and then as you continue to grow, then it's like I have to grind for the customers to make sure that they're successful, and then the next step is you have to like grind for the industry, what we're doing right now, to make sure that we're bringing more people into the industry and showing people what the opportunities are and teaching people the right way to do things. And like, it just never ends.
I was going over like a travel schedule with a family member a couple weeks ago, like this trade show, this trade show, this trade show. And they're like, dude, like, that's so cool. You just get to go on all these vacations. And I was like, dog.
Sorry.
Like,
I just
that drives me nuts.
yeah.
People would say that.
I'm like, I
you,
get up at 7 a.m., go to the gym at the fucking whatever hotel I'm staying at in Vegas. I'm at the trade show at 10. If I get lunch, it's like a granola bar. I'm at this trade show till 5:30 or 6. Then I'm at a party we sponsor. I'm not partying. I'm literally talking and on my feet the entire fucking time. Then it's over. Then I go to a client dinner. Then it's 10 o'clock. Then I get to bed. Then I'm up at
Well, hold on.
like,
That's not usually what happens. If it's a Vegas show at 10 o'clock, some of our friends and clients come over and they want to talk biz until midnight. And then
we've had some 4 a.m. nights where people are just talking biz on the couch with us in our suite. And it's fun. I like it. But like, I don't really come home from a trade show well rested. I usually come home and like sleep for 3 days. Like the weekend, I'm just like,
it's
it's
rough.
not an eventful weekend after an affiliate summit or a leads con. It's like I gotta like decompress.
And I'll be vulnerable here for a minute. You know, Dave, we've spoken about this a few times. Last summer, I was in a very long-term relationship. It was 12 years, and she told me that basically an ultimatum that I needed to stop working so much and traveling so much, and she refused to travel with me or go to the trade shows or whatever. But I couldn't give up on my people. I couldn't give up on our clients. I couldn't give up on Josh and the affiliate marketing show. It just wasn't in the cards for me. So I ended it. Actually, she gave me the ultimatum and I said no. And she said, okay, we're done. So technically she left me. But at the end of the day, it's just like that's the real entrepreneur struggle. And that's what we go through. And what it is just it's just a lesson in how much discipline, pain, and suffering you can handle, because the costs are great. The rewards are great, sure, but the costs are great too. And I don't think enough people in the industry really talk about this side of it, about what we actually have to sacrifice to be successful. They just see the fun events and the giant booths and the other stuff, right? But they never see the tax, the price we pay to actually achieve some of these things. And I know, Dave, you've been through this too.
Or think about that same level of grind that we put into now, Adam, but like our first leads con, when 98 out of 100 conversations was virtually like, oh, cool, go fuck yourself. Same level of hustle,
Yes.
100th return from that.
I love that you said that because, I mean, especially me, I travel like crazy. I was just in Dubai. I probably slept 2 hours a day. It's like a time warp there. You don't even know there's no sense of time there. And, yeah, I'm going to these cool places, but I'm hustling, I'm listening at 4 a.m. I'm listening for opportunities and try to create win-wins. And I've made some of my best deals after 2 a.m. I had a short I did about the Cosmo bar in Vegas, talking about how that's the best place to do business, like the unofficial, networking event or whatever. But I've gotten so many deals at the Cosmo bar, 3 a.m, 4 a.m, 5 a.m. I just had a call with someone that we met at 7 a.m. there. I was about to go to my room. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I mean, what am I doing? And then boom, we're about to do a deal. So it's like, it never ends, right? So, yeah, it looks glamorous, but people don't realize that. And I think that's why most businesses fail. And even the podcast. I mean, initially, I didn't think this would take as much time as it's taken. It's a lot of work doing this.
Yeah.
And I think people see this and like, oh, I'm going to start my own podcast or my own show. They don't realize how expensive it is. And if you want to do quality production, you gotta pay for good equipment. We did one in Medellin a few weeks ago. Truthfully, I was a little pissed off because we had the mics weren't right. I'm like, guys, this is fucked up. Well, you learn as you go along, right? But you want to put out a good product that you're representing yourself or representing your brand. So people don't realize the expense of it, really the time. It takes a lot of time, and then you got to edit, you got to do this. So hats off to you guys for the 60 episodes, right? I mean, I've done 10. We haven't dropped them all. We're about to start dropping like 2 a week to catch up, but it's everything. There's an opportunity cost. There's a sacrifice you got to make. If you're willing to do that, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Most people aren't willing to do that, and that's why it is what it is.
Yeah, I always tell young entrepreneurs, and I don't know if our listeners really know this, but my background, I mentored a lot of entrepreneurs and was the chair of a technology committee in the country's largest angel investment group. And I would always say to entrepreneurs that you can't guarantee you're the smartest person in the room, but you can guarantee you're the hardest working person in the room. And I think there's something to be said for when you get started that you really need to dedicate every waking moment to what you're doing. And sometimes you can get a break, but I think what really happens is you just kind of fall in love with the work, and you have to be successful. And to your point, Dave, I mean, when you got back from Dubai, the first thing you did was text me and we're like, yo, I want to meet. And so Dave literally got off the plane.
He had lunch and he had his suitcase.
Yeah, he went right to here where we're at, and we had lunch next door. Like that was his, not I'm getting off the plane, I'm gonna go relax for a few hours, do whatever. He's like, guys, I'm coming over. I want to talk. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. Yeah. It's never ending.
Yeah, I was just watching the new Full Swing on Netflix, which is like the golf show, and I heard a quote on there, not from that show, but it was a good quote. It said like, hard work beats talent if talent isn't working hard. It sounds like you guys would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and the point is to grow your talent but not give up on the work ethic. And when you get really good at what you do and you work hard, it's a force to be reckoned with. It's very hard. It's very hard to let go of that. It's very hard to compete with that. Like that's really when you start to see huge amounts of success. And, success is like an iceberg. You see the tip of it, but you didn't see the 10 years worth of work leading up to that. You don't see the giant piece of ice under the ocean, which is all the pain and the struggling over years.
No, I'm not interested.
Yeah, all the being told no.
And I was going to say there's levels, right? I mean, especially living in Miami. I know you guys there recently. I'm living there, and man, there's so much, action going on there, and there's so much wealth going on there. Some with BS, some with real. But I remember Adam when I saw you, you pointed to this. There's like the Google founder's yacht is there, and man, I don't know what the yacht is worth. Definitely 9 figures, maybe more. And then you pointed to an island, like that's the highest concentration of wealth in America, in this island. There's like more billionaires there than anywhere else in America. And you see that, like, man, I guarantee you, those billionaires and Google's co-founder, they have the talent, but they haven't given up on that work ethic. They have these levels. I mean, I want to get my kid, and we're trying to get him into this very exclusive school. Shit's expensive, right? That means I gotta keep grinding. I gotta do what I gotta do to make shit happen, man. And that's why I do what I do. I mean, it really comes down to I want to continue growing my team. I want them to do really well. I want them to send their kids to have great houses, have a good lifestyle, create memories with their families. And that's what I do. And I think that when you hit one level, there's another level, right? And the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? So yeah, big believer in that. I'm glad we talked about that. And that's really one of the things I want more people to understand. Don't get into freaking business unless you understand what's going on. I got lucky in that before starting my own company, I saw successful entrepreneurs. I worked with them I as an employee, and I saw what they did to make it work. So I saw a lot of what happened. I grew up poor as fuck, man. I mean, at one point we were on food stamps, in Newark, New Jersey. That's when Newark was the crime capital of America. But what I'm trying to say is that I really had a, what do you call, like, scarcity mindset. I thought that rich people were bad, all this bullshit. And then, I went to NYU during the dot-com bubble, and I started seeing all this wealth being created. And then I started working around, some people that are very successful entrepreneurs, and they were very philanthropic, very good for the people around them. When somebody had a problem, they would come up, step up, create something to make it work. And I was like, okay, these entrepreneurs are the best. So I learned from them, right? And then that changed my mindset from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And that's what it comes down to. I want to share that, and that you guys do a great job with that. And I think our space in particular, it's phenomenal for if a newcomer is willing to work hard. They can go from 0 to 5 figures fast, 6 figures fast, 7 figures, 8 figures. There's no limit, right? If you continue to adopt the right mentality. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, Dave. One of the reasons Harrison and I bought this place as the Ringba Mastermind House is because it has the best view in Miami.
Don't give too many details. We might get doxxed. By
Anthony Paluzzi will post our
address.
Have
the view with
again.
Windows. We have windows.
Yes.
He's a nervous guy, by the way. Very nervous.
Yeah, he should be nervous if he keeps doxing us. This particular space in Miami has the best view of where billionaires park their boats downtown. And there's a harbor near the Kaseya Center, and I can see it from here. It's like this direction right out, and you've seen it, Dave. And Sergey Brin, the founder of Google's yacht, was there. That was like $330 million, by the way. There's literally billions worth of boats sitting down there right now, and every single one of the people who own those boats is more successful than almost any other human being on Earth.
It's a constant reminder how poor we are.
Yeah, exactly. And then behind that are all the islands where, like I pointed out to you, some of the highest concentration of wealth in the world and in the United States exists. And it's very humbling to be sitting here and working here every day and evangelizing what we're doing while staring out at all these folks who have accomplished so much. And so, I think it's super important as an entrepreneur to surround yourself with people who are better than you at everything. And that's really the only way to rise up. And I think that connecting with people in our industry and going to trade shows and traveling like you do and we do is really how you meet the people that can really change your life and change your career. And so I know we have more
Adam,
Josh,
Adam. Oh, okay. I was going to say, how you...
Here.
Oh, this was good, though.
Do an interlude. I want to talk about Crack Revenue's reviews. Now, I did a deep dive into Crack Revenue's reviews on the internet, and I'm going to be honest with you. There were 195 5-star reviews that basically said they were amazing, that people made a ton of money, they paid their bills on time. All this bullshit about how great.
I got to clean the mess up. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Just like so great, all these reviews, but I dug deep and I found the 1 stars. And so there are 3, and I want to talk about these 1-star reviews because I'm hoping that Crack Revenue does not come back and sponsor the show. I can't talk about Jerkmate and OnlyFans models every single episode for the rest of my career. It's just not going to work. I'm never wearing this.
His mom watches the pod.
My mom watches the pod. All right. So I'm going to paraphrase this one. This one is from Kyle. and my goal here is to convince you to not do business with Crack Revenue. Quote, I had an issue where I got banned. I admit I broke the rules and was immediately suspended for this. Crack Revenue gave me a silly story about how they couldn't unban me and that they weren't going to pay even though I broke the rules. Thanks, Kyle. You're not really helping my cause here. All right. I have another one. I was banned from Crack Revenue. My traffic did not convert. Not a single conversion, and they caught me. I will not do business with Crack Revenue, but I have to admit, Jerkmate is a pretty good offer. I couldn't make this shit up if I wanted. Fuck!
Well,
Is there a third one, or is that it? That's it, right?
No, I'm not
He's
reading
giving
anymore.
up, he's
I
out.
give up. I'm out.
Even the bad reviews
Even
are
the
like,
bad reviews are good.
it's not to
Well,
love about Jerkmate.
Before the reviews, you mentioned changing your life, and I was just going to say a really good way to change your life is to check out the Pay-Per-Call Revolution, Adam Young's new book, now available on Amazon, and you can see it sitting right there in the middle of their studio. I already bought mine out of pocket, by the way. I was a little bummed about that, but I'm happy to support the cause. I'm going to read it, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So make sure you check that out. We'll drop a link in the bio right to Amazon's page, to the checkout page, and make sure you pick up your copy today. David, I wanted to ask you another question about solar. Where is the solar industry at right now? Is it a good time for affiliates and internet marketers to get involved with solar? Did they kind of miss the boat? Is it still just getting started? And, big picture, like, do you think at some point in the next decade or 2 decades, every single home building, like everybody's going to have solar on the top with this, green movement that we're seeing, or is that still pretty far away?
yeah, that's a great question, and I'll tell you something, right? You watch stocks. Look at the stock market, right? Look at the solar. Look at the symbols. Enphase, First Solar, and Sebo, all these stocks. You'll see over the last 2 years, you see like from 2016 to 2022, maybe third quarter, they were just up, right? And then they started coming down, and they've given up like maybe 80-90% of their gains. So there's two thoughts about that. I mean, this might be a good time to get in, or there's still more bleeding to go. I think it's kind of like in between that. So really what happened is the rising interest rates really exposed a lot of these solar companies. A lot of them were salespeople trying to run a business. They didn't know how to run a business is what happened. They didn't realize there's so many moving parts. So there's like 12 steps to go forward. Permitting, there's this, there's that, lead costs will keep going higher. So to answer your question, it's a tough time. I wouldn't recommend it unless you got some secret sauce. Like I know some guys that you were very good at mortgage, right? And the mortgage audience is perfect for solar because people that have mortgages are homeowners. To go solar, you have to be a homeowner, right? So if you have some sort of special sauce, some competitive advantage, I'd say, yeah, give it a shot, test low. The issue is that a lot of these big solar companies have gone out of business. That's what's happened. We had 2 clients that collectively did $700 million in revenue between the last week of December to the first week of January. It's funny because I was with Adam, we had a dinner at Legion World on a Sunday night. At that same dinner, you don't know this, Adam, I got a text from one of my clients, the buyer there, and I don't really work with many of the clients, but this one's a big one, so they hit me up 10 o'clock at night on Sunday, like, can you talk? And at that point, they owed us pretty good money. I'm like, fuck, this is not going to be a good phone call. So I get outside. They're like, listen, they're about to announce going out of business. I don't know if we're going to be able to pay you. I'm going to do my best. I'm like, shit, man, it is what it is, right? So make a long story short, there's been a lot of like landmines in solar the last 6 to 9 months. I feel like it's stabilizing a little bit. That's also a sign of maturity. It's a sign that there's a lot of consolidation going on, and there's the cream rising to the top like it does anywhere else. So the key is to get in like I got it in 2016. Right? We rode that wave. It's coming back in. We're always going to be involved in solar because they will come back, but the rising rates mess things up. People were exposed. They weren't getting the funding they were getting in terms of like private equity and that kind of thing. So they got exposed. So we used to have probably 80 to 100 solar clients. That's gone down to probably around 18 to 20 now. But for us, I'd rather work with the clients with the big budgets anyway, right? So it's a little bit less of a headache right now. So I would say, to answer your question, I think it will come back. I don't know when that will be. I can't answer that. I suspect it might be 6 months to like 3 years. But we'll be around when it comes back. We'll be making money on it like we used to. We're still making money doing it. It's a strong vertical for us, but it's not what it was, right? So unless you have a competitive advantage, I don't think it makes sense. So I'd rather people get into pay-per-call, get into some of these meaty verticals, right? Read the book.
I have a question about pay-per-call and solar for you, David. So I've talked to people in the solar, like we had a friend like from where I used to live in Arizona who's like he's like he has a team of door-to-door salespeople doing solar and stuff, and he tried to talk to me about pay-per-call with solar, and I talked to people about it, and obviously that industry, I'd say over the past couple of years, has been pretty dominant on the lead side, and that inbound exists, but it's not the bread and butter of solar. But I think that's pivoting because of the FCC changes, etc. So how do you, for example, in that world, handle the biggest issue that I heard with solar and pay per call, which is, you're running calls in the state of Arizona. People are only really buying in Tucson, in Scottsdale, in Phoenix, and you get these like calls from like the nowhere Arizona. Like, how do you handle that? Because with these large buyers, are they buying statewide, or do you have to like piece that out? Do you sell those as leads? Do you find local people? Like, how does that work? Because I've always been curious about that.
That's a great question. That's one of the challenges with solar risk. It's not like something like debt or
Not like
base.
Medicare where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can go nationwide, right? So that's why the cost to acquire the lead, the CPAs keep going up year over year because it's very fragmented. No, there's no true statewide solar company. Even like New Jersey, where I'm from, you have scams. It's zip code denominated. There are certain utilities that don't allow you to go solar. They don't have a policy called net metering, which does, if you don't have net metering, it doesn't make sense to go solar. So to answer your question, pay per call is very, very hard to crack on solar. Most of the people that are driving calls are doing it through SMS, which obviously is effective when someone responds to a text, but you're exposing yourself a lot if you're not SMS compliant data, right? So with that being said, what we do is we try to focus on clients that have a big footprint. We had a client that got bought out for $900 million. They were our biggest client, Sunpro, and they were as close, them and Sunrun were as close to nationwide as you could get. I think Sunpro was in 35 states. So they were doing some pay per call. Even with them, it was challenging because, like I said, you can't do all of Texas for pay per call. There's certain zip codes that don't accept solar, right? So to answer your question, it's very, very tough. That's why the web leads tend to do better because you could target by zip code. But even a lot of good media buyers have trouble doing that. So what they'll do is they'll still go they'll still go statewide, and they'll let stuff hit the floor and hoping that they can make it up on the back end, right? So really, it's challenging to do pay per call for solar, and I feel kind of like a Debbie Downer when I talk to people that want to get into it. They're all excited, like, guys, do your research. It's almost like if they want to go into a new business, do your damn research. Like I threw money at stupid stuff a year ago, right? And I learned I had to get burned, right? So I try to tell people, if you're gonna freaking do it, make sure you have a competitive edge, and you got to work with a company that has great coverage. And unfortunately, there's probably 5 companies in solar, maybe three to five companies that have as close to nationwide coverage as you want. But it's not like that. It's not like ACA, not like Medicare. It's not like all these other verticals where, plus you got to be a homeowner to go solar. And a lot of people are homeowners in America, but there's a lot of renters you can't do anything with either, right? So it's very niche what it comes down to. But if you, like us, we've been doing it so long, we kind of cracked the code a little bit. We got a kind of like a first mover advantage. We'll always make money in it, but for a newcomer coming in, it's tough. Hope I answered your question. I feel like I went all over the place there.
I always tell people, because I get that question a lot, Dave. It's like, hey, what vertical should I start in pay per call? I see people doing this and doing that. My answer is never to suggest a vertical. It's always to say, what do you already know? Did you used to work at a mortgage company? Does your uncle own a tow truck? Like, what industry do you have experience in? And by actually participating in, because that's going to give you a competitive edge over a random affiliate or something of that nature. And I think people run to where they see, right? Like they'll see, oh, look, Dave makes money in solar. Like, that's cool. If I were going to get into pay-per-call, I wouldn't do solar, right? Like, that's not high on my list because I don't know anything about solar. I've never owned solar panels. I don't know how they get installed. I don't have any experience as a customer. And I think if people did things or picked verticals when they got started that they intrinsically understand, that they're going to be able to learn a lot faster and come up with creative ways to move the business forward instead of just trying to go where they see other people already successful.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know you guys have read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. He talks about a formula to 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, right? Once you hit that mark, and I think that's what happened to me. I was making calls on my own. I don't know how many hours I was on the phone doing solar, but I trained people on it. Then I consulted for a solar company that blew up. They went from 14 million to 500 million, and I helped them in their call center. I put processes in place back in 2017 that are still in effect, 7 years later. So with that being said, I spent all this time on solar that I really understood the thing. And then when I got on the phone with a big client, they could tell, like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And I would train my team to understand that stuff. And if they ever got stuck, get me on the phone with a good opportunity. So you can't fake the funk. I mean, people knew that Dave knows what the fuck he's talking about. And I had the credentials. I helped this company go from 14 million to 500 million, right? I had the other group, Sunpro was doing 200 sales a month when we started working with them. I flew out to Louisiana, New Orleans, and they were at 200 month. I saw where they were going. I saw they had some needs and I can help them out. And I actually helped out the whole industry. A lot of people benefited from this. I gave them scripting ideas. They implemented all the stuff. So all my competitors made more money, but I made more money too. There was a rising tide that lifted all these boats. But that visit there, I don't know when that was, sometime in 2017. That was a big moment for our company because they went from 200 a month to 1,000 sales a month, 2,000 sales a month, 4,000 sales a month. And guess what? They needed more leads. They needed different types of leads. And then we sold them every type of lead there was. So that wouldn't have happened if I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. They would know that, hey, I'm making shit up, or this guy's kind of like, mediocre at this, but I was an expert. So I think that the thing is, you got to be an expert at something or as close to an expert. And once you are, doors are going to open up for you.
Yeah, people
David.
can recognize expertise. I think that's a really phenomenal point. And I like what you said there about being the market leader. It actually helps competitors out. I think the reality is, you're the market leader when what you do actually grows an industry and brings people into it and actually helps your competitors too. That's the real sign of a market leader, and that should be the goal of any organization, is actually to evangelize what they're doing so hard that it creates more opportunities even for their competition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
David, I know you got to run to catch a flight soon. Do we got time for one more, or should we get you out of here?
I love this, by the way. Can I say one thing? I mean, that's another thing I like about our partnership here, right? We're OfferVault and Ringba sponsor of the LFG Show. And Adam, and again, I appreciate the vote of confidence because I didn't even launch everything. We did a bunch of shorts or whatever. And I think you saw the vision, you saw where this was headed, right? And that meant a lot to me. And I told you guys when I saw you when I came back from Dubai, because I think you saw the passion behind it and all of that, right? And I think that what I liked about it is that we were on the same vision. We both believe, we all believe here, where the future of media is going, where this content strategy that I'm talking about, right? So I think that's why we're doing this. And then you got to be aligned with people that they share that same vision as you. Because if they're not, it's like a bad marriage. I mean, we talk about, I had bad relationships, I was divorced, you've been divorced. And when that happens, you can't go forward, right? So that's why I really like our partnership here, because we both believe in that. And we know we're going to help the competition, but who the hell cares? I mean, if the industry grows, we're going to grow along with it. And we're all going to win at the end of the day. So I just want to say that before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, speaking of bad marriages, the changes that occurred to the TCPA last year and pay-per-call really did create a bad relationship. I'm curious, how did you kind of navigate your way through that? We've had a friend of the pod, Eric Troutman, on a few times to discuss all the changes that went down in 2023. I'm curious, did it have any effect on you with solar? And if it did,
Josh.
if it did,
Sorry.
what were the effects that it had, and how did you kind of get onto the other side?
You're talking about the one-to-one consent that goes into effect in January? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. I'm not sure if Josh even knows what he's talking about.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to create discussion topics here.
Well,
guys.
I
I'm just doing my
make
best.
Sure, I want to make sure we're on the same page. So I spoke about this in Dubai because a lot of people, I asked people to raise their hands, how many people know about this FCC ruling, right? And I had a feeling most people would not, and most affiliates did not. And they confirm my suspicions there. And the reason I did that, because, a lot of people that they run aggressive, or they're doing stuff that's not legal, right? So they got to be aware of this stuff, because they're going to be going out of business, or they're not going to get paid by their advertisers, and then they're going to be out of business, right? So the point of that is that you got to be aware of what's going on. You got to listen to the right people, subscribe to the right channels. I mean, Eric Troutman does a great job with TCPA World. I subscribe to it. I get the updates, which I appreciate. You guys do a good job of talking about that on the show. So with that being said, it doesn't go into effect till January. I'm very grateful that they extended this thing to give us another 10 months, because we have a data company. We sell a lot of age data, compliant data, stuff that is Renaya. We're as compliant as possible. We make sure we add people's DBAs to the marketing partners pages, but that business is going to be non-existent once this law goes into effect, right? So with regard to solar, it hasn't affected it as of yet, but what I've seen advertisers do, they're trying to pivot, they're trying to get ahead of it, and that's what they should be doing. That's what we're doing. That's why paper calls become a big strategy for us, right? And excuse me, paper call has been a big strategy for us, because based on what I'm seeing, paper call is kind of immune to this. It's only going to continue to grow. So we're making bigger strides. We have a division called Senior Direct Marketing, where we do a lot of senior campaigns. We do debt campaigns out of there, and they're growing. We had a pretty good day yesterday on that, and we're doing more internal media buying efforts as well. So with that being said, solar companies are going to have to do a lot of more internal media buying to get ahead of that one-to-one consent. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to buy age leads anymore. That's going to kill age leads. I talked about that in Dubai. I had coffins for the people that are going to die for that. Age leads are going to die. We make a lot of money off of that. It sucks, but guess what? We got to pivot. We'll get stronger. So with that being said, solar companies won't be able to buy age leads anymore. I recommend if they want to get their lowest cost acquisitions, they got to do it now before this thing goes into effect. Do it while they can, because come January 25th, I believe, for next year, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. People are sitting on databases that they can monetize and it's compliant. Do it now, right? But with that being said, people got to pivot. I'm seeing solar companies start to pivot. Some have no clue what's going on. We've explained it to them, and they're still not. I think they're going to act as cowboys. It is what it is. And you can only, open doors for people, and they want to walk through that door. It's up to them, right? But we're going to keep trying to open doors, keep people abreast of that. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's going to come hit people in the face. They're not going to know what happened, and we're going to get a lot of big fines for that. You don't want to mess with the FCC.
David, that's exactly what I meant when I asked the question, obviously. And thanks for mentioning Cowboys, bringing it back full circle right at the end of the show. For myself, Josh from OfferVault.com, the published author of The Paper Call Revolution, Adam Young, as well as the industry legend, Harrison Gevirtz, and our special guest, David Stodolak, host of the LFG Show, CRO of Connection Holdings, and president of Solar Direct Marketing. Let's make that paper. Let's make that dough. This was the Affiliate Marketing Show. We will see you next time.
Marketing Show.